So where are we headed? 074. I'm going to go ahead and get this in real quick. So we're going to do map direct. I may even have that in my recent. So I go up. Yep, there it is, because I go up there now and again. Just do a direct to that. Okay, there we are. And now we're just waiting on the oil and make sure I'm on tower and ground and then tower. Okay. So I should introduce you. I do want you to know that I'm recording on the GoPro.
Okay.
And the house rules are I will review it before I post it. I will cut out anything stupid or silly that I say, but I do not always afford to guess that courtesy. So
that's okay.
So I do want to introduce you because for the 2 or 3 people that watch my YouTubes and actually have read the book, this is Lonnie. This is where I got the RV6 from, and this is the guy that let me do 3 takeoffs and landings in his RV12, so I would not be doing it for the first time in a brand new airplane, which I have never forgotten. That was a huge deal. So, all right, so now that they know who I'm sitting with, you can proceed with your question and comments.
Okay, the early Rotexes back in the family when this aircraft was built didn't have a lot of alternator power.
Right.
Now, today you see a lot of the newer RV12s with dual screens and so forth. Have they changed that in the Rotax family, or?
Well, they did, I think, to some degree. The change in my case with the ULS engine was just they drew less power on the avionics. What most people are buying now, it's an RV12IS. It's a fuel-injected engine. So I'm sure it has a much higher power budget. They will have done something about that. It's a more complex install. Fuel-injected engine has all the tremendously strong fuel pumps and all that whack. So
1121.8, this 12345, 54321.
So, that must be the tower opening up. Now we got 6 more minutes on that. I see. They don't up till 7:30. I didn't think I was going to have to talk to him. I still have 724.
1121.8, this 12345, 54321.
Yeah, so they're getting ready to open up, but we're still clear on the tower. We can just go on out.
Gotcha.
Okay. So yeah, it's everything is newer. That's why I call it an RV12 Classic, because really resale value has plummeted. Fuel-injected engines. I mean, fuel-injected engines have their own set of issues. The fuel-injected engine is newer than the ULS, so they're going to run into service bulletins that I won't have. But it's obviously going to be more popular in the market. So when I was up at Oshkosh last year, we had an RV12 meeting, a bunch of RV12 owners sitting in a tent. Van was there. And the thing I hate the most about this is come up and introduce yourself, and you hand me a microphone, and I get all stupid and clam up and everything. But I got up there and introduced myself, and I said, I built and fly what I call an RV12 Classic. My retail value or my resale value is somewhere around $14,000 now, so thank you, Vans. Without realizing Van was sitting right there. But I'm starting to see a lot more people refer to them as RV12 Classics, which is kind of like, okay, cool. But so I think we can taxi out, but by the time we're ready to take off, I'll have to. He'll announce when the tower opens. I just want to make sure I don't get any kind of violation here.
Do they have hangars full here?
Yes, there's a waiting list.
Same way at Fairfield.
And that's a good thing, really. I mean, not a good thing for the people that are waiting, but it's good that there's that much demand. I have a friend in the Civil Air Patrol that's building an RV-8. He's on the waiting list for a hangar. Fortunately, he's still at the point where he can do it in his garage, or if he needs to in the back of my hangar. But yeah, there's a, and of course they've gotten rid of the tie downs. Nobody really was using the tie downs, so they just tore out. Just a little more to mow is all. But it's a very good airport. It's good to see it busy. I flew Civil Air Patrol a few days ago, and the 182, and coming back into Don Scott, we called in and he said, remain outside the class Delta until we're further notice, because they had so much going on. So people are flying, which is, I think, well, fuel costs are down, which helps a lot.
Sure.
But not enough. So I'm very happy to see people flying. I would hate to see the airport go away.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's the reason I live here.
Well,
exactly,
you know, you got this school. And
yeah, I took some classes over there. That's in the book. When I knew I was going to want to build, and actually when I knew I was going to be maintaining, I took the sheet metal class, the engine class, and the electrical class. I did not pursue the A&P, and I'm glad I didn't, because about halfway through, the FAA changed it all around, and I probably would have had to start completely over. And I was out of pocket at the time. When I turn 65, I'm going to go back, because then tuition is free, and I'm just paying the lab fees, which were minimally low, so I'll go back. But it was, and I was working at the time, so, you know, evenings was hard to get away and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's very convenient having that there, and I tend to use it.
Why do you say they don't charge you after 65?
After 65, state-supported schools are free. Tuition is free.
No kidding.
My dad made heavy use
Bolton
of
to
it.
Zoom Air Traffic Control and Class Delta Services, Class Golf Airspace now terminated.
Okay, well, I guess he'll note that we're here and just have to. He's not going to clear me all the way back down to runway 4. I'm hoping so.
Let's hope so.
Let's get the run-up done. We got the canopy latched, where I was very paranoid about that. Just recently got this. This is a nice thing to have.
Oh yeah.
But I would never spend the $200+ to get one because it just didn't seem. It was worth it. It had the value, but it just seemed like it's like $15 worth of materials. But I found one used, or one that came to me offered as used, and it's really new. I mean, you can't really tell the difference. So I got that for $85, and I'm eternally grateful for that as well. It's a very nice thing to have. So that's as close as I'm gonna get to 4,000. That's good, about 110. And basically identical. We're all good. And we get a nice slow idle on this. Go. Morion Tower, that's good. I think we're pretty much ready to go. We're gonna depart north, I'll tell him that. Make sure we're free and clear. Check the canopy one more time.
Yeah. Okay, you're good.
Yeah, I checked that. I'm constantly looking at that thing. I'm paranoid as hell about that. All right, good morning, Bolton Tower.
Bolton Tower, experimental 284 Delta Golf, ready for departure runway 22, departing VFR northbound.
Experimental 284 Delta Golf, Bolton Tower, runway 22, clear for takeoff, proceed on course.
284 Delta Golf, clear for takeoff, 22 on course for Delta Golf.
I try to subtly correct the tail number. That's it. His first call of the day. He's probably still brewing his coffee.
Yeah.
Man, these guys are starting early today. There was a training flight, Cessna 172. Guy does a lot of training in it. They took off about 6:30 or so. It's the best time of the day to fly for any number of reasons.
Oh yeah.
Particularly when it's going to be super, super hot like it will be today again.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I give this just about 1,000-foot takeoff today, I think. Out of the way, birds. There we go. Clear path. There we go. A little bit of a wind from the right. Not too bad. I could fly over the house and wake up the wife, but that's
That probably wouldn't be a good idea.
She knows the sound of it. So anytime something that sounds like a weed blower flies over, that's me.
You're bad. You are bad.
But in a good way.
Tower, Oscar 21 Charlie Tango, inbound from the northwest, 10 miles out, for touch and go.
Northwest, so that should
Archer
be
21 Charlie Tango,
There he
Bolton
is.
Tower, report the right base, runway 22, wind 2105, altimeter 3002.
Hey, we picked the right runway. Oh, 3002, already had that.
altimeter, we'll report the right base, runway 22, 181 Charlie Tango.
All right. Traffic there, traffic there.
Truck 106 Bolton Tower, proceed via Alpha to
Hey,
Alpha
it's
1,
busy
hold
early
short
today,
runway
isn't it?
22 to Alpha 1.
Alpha 1, hold short of 22 at Alpha 1, 106.
And let's take our altitude, we'll go about 3,500. And GPS, nav, and let's go ahead
Number
and do it.
284 Delta Golf, traffic inbound from the north is Archer for the right base, runway 22.
4 Delta Golf, looking.
Archer 181 Charlie Tango, traffic just a beam midfield northbound.
Fell off the scope.
Keep an eye out for him, 181 Charlie Tango.
Truck 106, proceed on runway 22, rising off the runway.
All my ADSP, oh there it is, there we go.
Now, the ADSB was that.
Well, it is Dynan. They did not have it when I did the install, so it was an add-on, and I think it was about 50. I had ADSB in for quite a while because I got the weather. I paid for that way ahead of the game to get the weather reporting. Yeah, she's on a base. That's why he's calling her out. We are going to have to watch for her. And then I did the out when it became mandatory. So I think all told, I have maybe $1,500 worth of ADS-B, which is pretty reasonable compared with. Now that was back before they had, and I knew this would happen, there would be lower cost solutions once it became mandatory and the market got a lot bigger. People were going to jump into it. But I still think I got a pretty good deal on it, and I'm very happy with it. I absolutely love having the traffic. Well, I had the traffic before, but not everybody was reporting. So we're co-altitude, but she's 4.5 miles out. Now she's below us, so she's not really a factor.
Well, the ADS-B, which is added on to your Skyview, if you have the D180, that's a whole different world.
Yeah, you'd have been looking at, well, there are different ways of doing it. Now, I have a friend with an RV6, and it's an older RV6, and what he bought was an ADS-B that actually replaces one of your wing lights. So the lights have to be on all the time, or actually it's separate wires, so it's on all the time. Relatively simple install. So the solutions are out there, but he doesn't have the well, he has a smaller Skyview, so I think he does get some kind of traffic display. I'm not really sure of that. But I love having the weather. I love having it. I would have bought it whether it was mandatory or not. I think it's a wonderful idea. I do understand that there's people whose airplanes that it's a significant cost compared to the whole value of the airplane. But you know, if you're out at Madison County and you're not coming to JP's, you don't care. You don't need it.
One perfect example of you can't go to Sporties without it.
Well, that's true. I mean, it is limiting, but there are people that fly small. You know, if I had another airplane, it would be like a Taylor Craft or a Cub that I'm flying low and slow just for the sake of flying low and slow. When I got my float rating down in Florida, it was a Piper Cub. We never got above 500 feet. The doors were open. It was just like this in the morning. It was wonderful flying, and I never felt the need for anything else. If I was going to have two airplanes, it wouldn't be two airplanes like this. It would be a much simpler airplane. But I don't know how much I'd use it, and you know, you double your insurance. Well, you wouldn't double your insurance because the hull value would be about 18 grand. But you know, things like that. And you know, it used to be I could have it over at Columbus Southwest. I think that's closed now.
Yes, definitely.
They had a shed blow down and they never fixed it. There's maybe one or two airplanes there, so I would have to pay to tie it down somewhere. I really wouldn't want it outside. I'd want it in a hangar. I wouldn't want another hangar at Bolton. They're too expensive. Well, they're not expensive relative to Ohio State or things like that, but it is a cost. And this airplane, I can fly it low and slow if I want to. I just can't open the door.
Right.
So I mean, I enjoy flying this airplane just to fly it. It's got a very nice control balance.
Tower,
wonderful airplane.
Good visibility.
Incredible visibility. I actually don't like to put. I only put this down.
22, clear for the option on departure, make left close traffic.
I only put this down when there's actually just I can't see into the setting sun or the early morning sun. I don't like it otherwise because it blocks the visibility.
Right.
So, you know, I'm happy to have it, but I'm not going to drive around like trying to look at, well, basically a Cessna 182, which has a, you know, instrument panel as big as a billboard, and then you got the wing hanging over you. I feel claustrophobic in that airplane. And the interesting thing is they're using it for ground searches, and when it's straight and level, it's fine, but as soon as they go into a turn, you have nothing to see except the bottom of the wing. I don't know why they're not using low-wing well, they're not using low-wing airplanes because of the, what are we pointing at?
The RPM.
Yeah, about 5,000 is
That's
good.
about what you fly it at, around 5,000.
Yeah, I can go to 5,500. I can go to 5,800 for I think 3 minutes or 5 minutes if I'm high altitude.
5,000 is.
Yeah, it's a nice balance between fuel economy, which is for right now, and approximate.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh.
And you know, true airspeed of 110. I mean,
that's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna smoke all the 172s. And
yep. So you know, when I have started practicing. The Civil Air Patrol search patterns in this airplane. The ForeFlight knows about them. It'll do the pattern for me, and then I just upload it into the Skyview, and I can run it off the autopilot, or I usually use track mode because the autopilot won't do an aggressive enough turn for me. But it's very, very handy to slow it down to 80 knots. I'm burning maybe 3 gallons an hour.
Right. Question. If you were going westbound now by Wright Pat and Dayton and all that, you have to have ADS-B to.
Within 30 miles of a Class B, I think I'm fine on a Class C. I'd have to check into that because it's not pertinent to me. This will give me airspace warnings. This will give me airspace warnings. What it's telling me right now is there is no airspace at all in front of us. If we were heading towards the Class D at Ohio State, it would say Class D 2 nautical miles, and it would have an arrow whether I'm going to be in it, over it, or under it. And once if I was in the part where the Class D overlaps the, like a Class B somewhere, like a Cleveland, this happens a lot, it'll show both of those. So I'm like, it's very, very handy. This will tell you all kinds of things too. So between the two of them, they kind of work in concert, but they kind of do things differently.
Well, interestingly enough, being IFR pilot, filed IFR just about no matter what. It used to be when you went west and you came back from Iowa or wherever, you talked to Dayton.
I think it's all Cincinnati now.
No, it's Columbus.
Columbus, yeah, that's what I meant. They've combined a lot of things.
Yeah, they did a number of years ago, because you'd get on Columbus clear over in Indiana, and you never talked to Dayton at all. You talked to Columbus Approach.
So IFR, if I replace this or put in a IFR certified GPS, this is really just a display, so it would handle that well. For an additional fee to a different company, you can get approach plates, and they're geosynchronized, so you can just drive the airplane down the approach plate. Just, you know, you have that plan view or the side.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I had them for a while. I got them on a Black Friday sale for half off, so I thought, oh, what the hell, I'll have those, and that was some pretty neat stuff. I think you can do something similar in here. This actually has all of the plates. I can look at the plates, but I think it's another $100 or $200 a year more to do the synchronization. But I'm really not IFR current. I haven't been for 15 or so years. I will be. I'll have to do that for the Civil Air Patrol. I'll have to start learning to fly at night again, which I've never liked.
Archer 1 at 1 Charlie Tango,
part of
the option.
Part of the reason I wanted to do Civil Air Patrol was because I was getting very complacent in this airplane. And I was not doing the type of flying that I am rated for. I was not using the stuff that I put all that effort into. I just wasn't using it because all I do is fly around to get food or whatever. So I thought a little bit of professionalism in the flying, a little bit of purpose in the flying would make a big difference. And I have really just now started flying with them because COVID got in the way and all that. And then we had the winter. That's when they do all the airplane work and such. I'm just now getting back into it, but I'm living it up. I'm just having the time of my life right now. I got my fun airplane. I got my work airplane.
Oh yeah.
I got everything going on for me now. It's why I spent all that, or forego all that income for 10 years, was to have these years.
Sure. Well, now my understanding is that the newer, maybe the traditional 12s with certain packages, the SLSAs, you can fly those IFR.
Yeah, they built what they call a trainer variant, because a lot of my service bulletins came from people using the airplane as a trainer. And like every other Vans airplane, the nose wheel is not for banging around on the ground. It's for getting you to the runway and getting off the ground, you know, right? So they were beating up the airplanes. They were breaking parts on the airplane that we all got service bulletins for. Now they're actually designing one that's a little bit more beefed up to be used as a trainer, and they have one that they're calling an instrument trainer. I assume that it can be. My perception all along was whether or not you could get an RB12 IFR certified was between you and your local FSDO, not really the FAA at large. But I didn't ever really look into it because I didn't think it would be a great instrument platform anyway.
No, but like anything else, if you're going somewhere and on a trip,
right, it's all in how you use it.
And you get in a situation where you need to get down, you have the ability to get down. Yeah. You can do it with what you have. There's no question. There's no question about that.
I practice it now. This has some DNAV capabilities. It does what I call a fake ILS. And I haven't done it for a while, and I have to refresh myself on it. But last year, I actually did YouTubes about it. I was going out and practicing that. Now, not so much because I'm getting caught in bad weather, because I'm actually a weather sissy. I avoid it like the plague. But evenings, go out and land on 27, Madison County on a hazy summer evening, and you are blind.
Oh, yeah.
When you turn final, you cannot see one daggone thing. That's the scenario that I was using when I was practicing those VNAV approaches. And I would take them down. I wouldn't take them down to an ILS minimum. I'd take them down to the highest non-precision approach minimum, which is basically like 200 feet below pattern altitude. And I wouldn't take them that far necessarily because, you know, then you got problems. But really, all I have to do is get over the runway. Once I'm over the runway and out of that sun, I have a better feel of where I am and yada, yada, yada. So it's never really had it come up, but I do like knowing how to use the stuff that's in my panel.
That's Delaware?
That's Marysville.
Oh, Marysville. Sorry.
Delaware would be off, not too far. It'd be a little bit more east. Info. It's landing. There it went. Alright, that's handy. Feeds the frequency into the radio for me. All that took was, it was a new feature, and all it took was the addition of one wire. I'll do that.
Yeah, that's easy.
Yep.
A lot of people now are saying the comm radio, not the SL40, but whatever the newer one is, that's furnished in the newer kits.
Garmin 225, I think.
Yeah, something like that's a lot better deal.
Yeah, I could get a better radio for about $2,000.
What for?
Exactly.
Why would you do that?
If I was flying IFR, I would.
Nah.
But it gives me what I need.
It's crazy.
And the other thing, I mean, I do this. It has a monitoring thing, but it's so, you know, I'm now in the habit of basically monitoring guard. But every now and then there'll be a little bit of static on there, so I turn it back off. So it doesn't. It's an okay radio. It does what I need for this airplane. So, you know, why would I?
One of the things that I had a lot of trouble with. I'm old. You know, you're a young guy compared to me. You know, I'd flown so much instruments for so many years on conventional stuff that when I upgraded my panel, I put a Skyview in with, not a Skyview, damn it, what am I trying to say? Can't even think of the brand of it, but it was a EFIS, and it had synthetic vision and you know, all kinds of stuff. And then I put in a WAS GPS, and I've been flying a non-WAS GPS forever, and I didn't fly enough. That's the biggest key to flying IFR is you need to be able to do things, just do them.
By habit.
Yeah, I mean, your proficiency is so bad if you don't fly regular.
That happens with me in the Skyview.
Absolutely.
And the thing about habits, I said this in my roast racing video, habits cross airplanes. So I have to be careful that I don't develop habits in this airplane that I cannot afford to carry into the 182.
Right. Well, I sold my Bonanza primarily a number of reasons to maintain a IFR capable Bonanza and keep your databases correct for IFR. And I had 2 IFR certified GPSs. And a hangar rent, maintenance, insurance, and so forth. You know, it cost me $15,000 a year to own a Bonanza if the propeller never turned.
Right.
Now, and I owned the damn thing. So when the propeller turned, guess what? The bill went up.
Even more, yeah. So the nice thing about Dynan, their view of data updates are they got them free for the government, so why charge us? So you know, your 496 or whatever that was, you could have bought data updates from that, but like the G1000, they're paying, I don't know what they're paying every year for data updates, but it's got to be a lot more than free.
Well, I had a KLM 90B King, which was a cartridge deal. It pulled out and changed cartridge every 28 days.
Yep.
That database is $1,000 a year.
Yep. I just download them off their website, stuff them in right here, and off we go.
Yeah. Well, now my Garmin was the later GPS. I did those updates with a cartridge at home. I had 2. You know, each year each month I'd have to update it and switch it. So that was, you know, I think that was only 400, well, something, close to 500.
To be fair, IFR updates are going to cost more than VFR
Oh,
updates.
absolutely.
But still, I'm happy. I mean, I don't have to buy sectionals anymore. Those are not cheap.
No. Well, this deal here is got a lot.
It's a bargain.
Yeah, it is a very good bargain.
I'm thrilled with it. It's the whole reason I bought the iPad. Although I read books on it now and again, but I mean, it's mostly the primary purpose of it was because my Droid tablet didn't run ForeFlight.
Right. Well, you know, you've got to fly regularly to keep up with all the crap.
Yep.
If you
Actually, more the avionics than the airplane.
Absolutely.
With this airplane. That's not true of all airplanes, but just keeping up
no,
with this.
if you're a pilot, you fly airplanes, the airplane is not nearly as difficult to keep up with as the avionic changes, without question. And that's, quite frankly, a real pain for somebody that's my age that's not computer literate.
Also interesting that I can do this. I want to go back to a 6-pack. It's right there.
I see.
They have not fixed that bug yet. They now treat true airspeed as redline speed. I'm nowhere near it, but and that's what happens. It turns red if your true airspeed is getting near the red line, but it's there all the damn time.
I just let up.
That's us. If it's right on top of us, we're low to the ground and it's reflecting back.
I got you.
It's irritating, but I've gotten used to it.
I understand.
That's not what I wanted. I want to go back to TFD and I want to go back to mode and then not that. Not that. There we go.
See, you're so computer literate. It's unbelievable. I mean, you just do.
Well,
but you're used to it too.
It's now what's going to be tricky is the Garmin 1000 is a lot of the same concepts, but all much more complicated interface because it does a lot more. And what's going to be tricky is knowing both of them at the same time.
Oh, absolutely.
I struggle. I've flown twice now as an observer, which is a Civil Air Patrol way of saying bookkeeper, co-pilot, and navigator. You don't have to be a pilot, but it helps a lot if you can manage the G1000, and I struggled with it. I read up on it and all that, but as soon as you sit down in that airplane, you're in an unfamiliar airplane. A lot of things coming at you because you're brand new in the observer side of things, busy doing that, and then trying to learn the G1000 all at once. I was overwhelmed.
Wow.
But that's just going to be a matter of experience. You know, it'll come to me. Go ahead and set our track and get us parallel to the runway here and go to track mode.
I have a question. Do you have a set of RPM?
Not really.
Or airspeed you use?
Airspeeds, I fly by airspeed, not RPM.
Okay.
Generally, if I'm getting ready to turn base, I set the trim at takeoff and just manage the throttle, and it gives me a really nice approach speed. So then I'm just altitude is throttle. With this airplane, so much is by feel.
Yeah.
Because I'm so intimately familiar with it.
Right.
Now there is nobody here, which is good, because I've not been doing any radio work at all.
Well, that's probably a good idea.
Severe clear today.
Beautiful day, isn't it?
Runway looks like it's been recently mowed, which is the one thing I look for here. They do a very good job of keeping up the runway. All right, let's get off the autopilot.
Autopilot, disconnect.
We're going to circle back. I just want to fly along and take a look at the runway first.
No problem.
LA's landing traffic is Experimental 4 Delta Golf. Going to be doing a left traffic for the north one.
Nobody cares. But they'll get my booth ready for me. I think it's runway 1 or something.
What do you do? Come up here and eat breakfast?
Yep. All I ever do is fly for food. You know, those people that say we'll fly for food. Oh man, we're becoming Indiana with these stupid windmill things.
Oh Lord.
Oh, I hate those. They're ugly.
And they're not efficient.
Roughly half of them are broken at any time.
Oh, go to California.
Well, the whole state's broken. I mean, that goes to, that's just true to form there. They got a wildly screwed up state out there.
I tell you, I have my daughter who's very liberal. My youngest child, she lived in New York City for 11 years. So then she moves to California. She lived out there for, I don't know, 6 years or so, I suppose.
Pretty okay.
And bought a house and rebuilt it. Sold it, making a lot of money on it, which is cool. There's nothing wrong with that.
Ellie's landing traffic for Delta Golf, left downwind, runway 33, Ellie's landing.
But she's a character, that girl.
Down here.
That girl is something else. That guy. Still full in his side pocket.
My daughter is, I think, an interesting mix between socially liberal and fiscally conservative. And I'm probably the same way. I'm not. I kind of sit in the middle. But the problem now is the middle is a very noisy place to be because both sides of you have gotten so far out on a limb there that it's hard to really. I try to avoid it all at this point. To be honest, I don't need the conflict. I'm living my life the way I want to live my life. I'll stay out of the rest of it to the degree that I can.
Is she back to work now?
No, they get, oh man, the amount of family medical leave they get these days is, I wish I'd have had that. I think she's got a full 3 months off.
No kidding.
I didn't get anything like that. I think my son-in-law got 6 weeks off. I got nothing.
Wow.
Well, honestly, I couldn't have been away from my job that much anyway. I mean, I was like the one-man shop, IT shop. I needed to be there. I mean, it was difficult even for me to take vacation. It was one of those jobs where if you're not there, nobody's picking up the load. It's just stacking up, and you left with a stack of work. So that sure didn't help. All right, 60 is good for a grass runway, I think. I can go as slow as 55. This one's a little wavy. Not the smoothest grass runway I've ever encountered, but I do like coming here. So this is when you want to do your soft field. That's just, you want to keep the nose wheel off as long as you can. Nose is still up there. Now, once I got the nose down, I kind of want to get on the brake. Oh, because of things like that.
I get you.
Don't want to hit those super fast. All right, if the camera's still working, I'm going to turn the camera off before I forget. Otherwise, it corrupts the file. So you run up, you're going to want to go to 4,000. It's a vernier throttle too, so you can, when you get in the neighborhood, you can do your fine tuning just by twisting it. I wish the 182 had that. It's very, very sensitive on the throttle. All right, thereabouts is good. So takeoff A. Looking for about 100 or so. That's good. And then B. Yep, those are both healthy.
All right.
That's it for the run up. Do your control check. Make sure you're moving around and I'm not blocking anything. My big old huge body.
Oh yeah.
My big ego gets in the way sometimes. That could be what the problem is. Looks to be clear. I'm not hearing anything. We might want to tell them.
Ellie's landing traffic, experimental 284 Delta Golf, taking off to the south.
I forget the number. It's whatever's the opposite of 33, which I guess is 160 or something. That's right, 17, whatever. All right, so stick full back. I'm on the rudder with you in case anything happens. Do it good. Feels good. There you go. Now just kind of hold it off and it'll just fly away. Now a little bit. There you go. There it's going to go. Now you get the nose down just a wee bit. Climb out at about 65 to 70. Actually climb out at 70 because we're not in any hurry. It's just pool table flat out here. And you're already on course. I mean, I don't know, it's direct to you. You're always on course, but you know, you don't have to make some turn. I mean, it's...
Where's the trim? Oh, trim down.
It's right there, yeah. Now, it's electric. It's the trim on the newer one they have on the stick.
Oh, do they?
Which is nice. Because every now and then, I haven't done it for a few hundred hours, when I would be turning right base, I'd reach out to hit trim up and I'd hit avionics and the radio goes away.
Oh.
Now, this didn't go away, which is good because the reboot time is pretty heavy, and the radio comes on right away, but it was still, for that couple of seconds, I wasn't on the tower frequency anymore.
See, on my Bonanza, I always had to trim by hand.
Yeah. So when I was flying the 182 from the right seat, I was trying to reach over and reach that trim wheel. I look over and he's got electric trim on the pilot's yoke. I'm like, well, hell, no wonder I can't do this. I'm at a huge disadvantage here.
This ain't fair.
Yeah. 182 will settle down. My experience with 172s is decades old, but I remember it not ever really wanting to settle down and pitch. And the 182 is not like that. It settled right down. And we were convective. I mean, it was late in the afternoon, so we were getting a lot of ups and downs. And it is a lot more control throw. I mean, originally, the first time I tried to turn it, I thought the aileron lock was still in. Like, it won't turn. But you want that. And that's probably why they buy them, because you want it to be very, very stable, because you got, first of all, you got people in the back that aren't going to want to get thrown around a lot, and they're trying to look out the window sideways, which is a recipe for vertigo. And the pilot also needs to be looking out now and then, or fiddling around the G1000. So a lot of times, you really want the airplane to fly itself. And they will fly, or at least the guy I flew with flies it the same way I fly mine, which is using the autopilot. I like the autopilot simply for altitude hold. When I'm down low like that and I'm maneuvering around, I want the autopilot paying attention to the altitude. But the track mode is very good too, because it's the track across the ground, which is what you need to fly. You don't have to do all that correction for the crosswind. It does it for you.
We going to 35?
Oh, you go wherever you want, but 35 is good. We'll probably be we'll be going over Marysville, so we want to be high enough to go over Marysville. If it was hotter, you could go higher, but this is still really pleasant. 74 degrees outside. That's pretty nice.
Lovely. What time is it?
That's why I go in the mornings.
What time is it now?
Oh, right now, about 11. No, that's not right. About 10, I think. I don't know how to do my phone, but it would know that.
All right.
I hope I didn't leave it sitting on the wing, because it's not there anymore. There it is. I think it's about 11. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm way off. 9. Yeah, we did get an early start, didn't we?
We did. Okay, now, a while ago you had this all set up on the autopilot for 3500. How did you do that?
Okay, so right now it doesn't have an altitude selected. So this altitude knob, as I turn it, see how it just said 3,000?
Oh, yeah,
That's your target altitude.
Right.
So to engage it, you have to say altitude, and then you have to say up to engage. And then you can also go nav. And now you have a flight director. You can just fly off the flight director, or you can turn on the autopilot. Now, if you want to change your vertical speed, because we really don't need 600 feet per minute, you would turn that knob counterclockwise. Now, what it's telling you, if you read across the top, the green AP means the autopilot is on. The purple GPS means it's following your GPS nav course. And it's telling you I'm going to do vertical speed of -100. You got that kind of low. There you go. Up to an altitude that you have selected, which is right there. And it'll climb on, should climb on up there, unless we lost the up portion of that. Yeah, okay, there we go. It'll climb on up there, and it'll flash as it engages. There, it's going to say, okay, you're at 3,500. It'll let you know that. So you do have to read that, because I have many times pushed all those buttons and then forgotten to actually turn on the autopilot. I do like flying with the flight director every now and then. I would use that like coming out of Burke Lakefront, where I'm under the Class Bravo. If it's convective at all, I really, really, really want to watch that altitude. I don't necessarily trust the autopilot to be able to do it. There's only so much it can do, so I'll fly the flight director. So all I got to do is stare at those little purple bars, and I know that I'm on course, and I know I'm on altitude. Very, very handy.
Now, on the trim, when it gets to 3,500, do you have to set the trim?
It will tell you, no, you won't have, it's auto trim. It doesn't have auto trim. It originally didn't. Auto trim came with these buttons. I have talked to the owner of Dynan and said, why do you not just sell an auto trim module? People would buy them in droves, because it's not really an autopilot without auto trim. But what will happen is, if it's more than it can handle, the first thing it's going to say is, give me some trim up or give me some trim down. You can generally just wait that out, because what this module does, it sped up the trim motor, so it responds very quickly. Downside of that, when you manually trim, it's a very short press now, because it happens so very quickly. Then it will say clutch slip. When it says clutch slip, it means that the clutch is slipping, and you now need to manually help it fly the airplane. You can also wait that out, depending on where you are and how much altitude tolerance you have, but I like to give it a hand when it asks for it.
So you're going to back up now to 3,000?
Yeah, I'd pull it back. Depending on how I'm feeling. I pull back to anywhere between 45 and 5,000. There's just no reason to run it that hard.
No.
I got a maintenance question from an RV-12 guy. I got it late enough that he figured it out for himself. I don't mind. I love answering stuff like that. You spend a lot of time learning about this airplane when you build it, and you do get to use some of that when you maintain it, but I mean, I'll spend a lot of time learning this airplane. I'm more than happy to, people that bought instead of built, I'm right there for them. I mean, more than happy to help them out. Makes the investment worth it. I get more use out of it. I want to go to, where's the flight plan? Oh. I want to edit, and I want to change the direction. There we go. That was easy. Updated the flight plan.
There you are. I love the throttle.
Yeah, the vernier makes a big, big difference. Now, when you had yours, you had those massive springs in there that always wanted to creep it forward. They replaced them with lighter springs that just made it creep forward less quickly. And now they've replaced them. They've taken the springs off of the throttle arm entirely, and they have these little coil springs that go inside there, and they're perfect. They're absolutely perfect. So the vernier, not as necessary as it was, but still very helpful for the fine tuning. I got addicted to it. As soon as I got into 182 and didn't have it, I kept trying to twist it. Hey, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
You too, see ya.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and get Bolton in here because it's always nice to know what's out in front of us.
So I have a question. You just have the seats and you put these down under the rudder pedals. You didn't buy the interior because of the price?
I bought, well, partially the price because I did this as cheaply as I could and get everything I wanted, but that's why I don't have landing lights in it. At the time, I was LSA and I couldn't fly at night anyway, anywhere $1,500. Interior kit was close to or more than that, and there was a part of me that wanted it to look like I built it myself, not a factory-built airplane. The interior kit makes it look an awful lot like a store-bought airplane. And I have no little measure of pride in the fact that I did build it. So it was a combination, mostly the cost, but also I like the kind of a rough finish. It's just kind of differentiates it from other airplanes that people get into. That's the story I told myself. Mostly it was the price.
One of the reasons I came to fly with you is I wanted to see this instrument and how nice that is over the 180. But I read on your blog about when you put this in, and you see so many of these that don't have that. I think that's necessary as far as I'm concerned.
Well, if not for the convenience, certainly for the auto trim. Otherwise, you don't have an autopilot, you have an assistant.
Yeah.
And it depends on how you're going to fly it. If you're doing this kind of thing, I could probably do this without an autopilot. Flying it to Florida, it made a huge difference. I flew one, it wasn't mine, but I flew one down to Houston. It made a huge difference. And he didn't have these buttons, so it was using the soft buttons, which I have to remind myself how to do now and again. How far out are we? 13 miles. We'll call him at about 8, or I'll call him about 8.
You're the man.
He's going to have us, either he's going to tell us enter a 2-mile right base for 22, or he's just going to say report right base 22. Home airport, you almost always know what they're going to say.
Absolutely.
They surprise me now and again, and they came up with a new one, I don't know, a few months ago. Forget what he told me, that it confused me a little bit. But, yeah, it keeps you on your toes.
Well, you know, every now and then it's good to have a little something different. So now, when you get 8 miles out and you call them, are you going to start a descent? We're going to start.
Yeah, we can start that. You know, 5. We only need to lose. We need to lose somewhat less than 2,000 feet at 500 feet at 4 minutes. We got 6 miles. Yeah, we can. So what you want to do on that? You can dial in your altitude whenever you want. So pattern altitude is 1704, which to me means 1800 and fudge a little. And you're going to want to slow down a little bit, but it will not do anything until you tell it to go. And now you can go ahead and pull back. And you can slow down, pull us back to about, what do we have? Pull back to about 4,000 or so. You want to stay away from about 36 to 3,800 because it resonates the airframe. And thankfully that's not just me that has that, it's common.
Yeah, I understand.
The only thing you got to watch out for is the class delta around Ohio State, but we're far enough west that it's not a factor. If you're coming along to class Charlie, you'd want to watch for that. And you just stay over it or go around it.
You said 4,000, didn't you?
Around, whatever gets us to about 80 knots, 90 knots, so we can we'll lose the rest in the pattern. But we're going to have a very abbreviated pattern, since we're going straight into right base, or presumably going straight into right base. Now this is where I'll go ahead and change it to ground, so I don't make a stupid mistake. No, I did wrong. 121.8. And I screwed that up, so 128.1. And back. So we're all set.
I like you. I screwed that up. I'll fix that.
You're bad. I'm honest.
Your mind operates.
I'm honest. I know. I own up to mistakes. I take responsibility.
Do you know how fast your mind operates?
Oh, light speed.
You're pretty serious.
I could have done stand-up comedy if I could remember to shit. Oh, sorry, bad language. If I could remember the funny stuff I say, I could write it all down, do stand-up. But it's in and out, man. It goes out as fast as it comes in. What's your name again?
You're bad.
All right, so we are 8 miles. Let me do this.
All right, go ahead.
Fulton Tower, experimental 284 Delta Golf, 8 miles north, inbound landing.
I could turn this 12.
Terminal 284 Delta Golf, Bolton Tower, enter the right base runway 22, report 3 miles from the field for sequencing, wind 2203, altimeter 3003.
Enter right base 22, report 3 miles for Delta Golf.
Now keep an eye on me on that.
You have a question.
Goal 4840,
Now,
runway
let's not do that
22,
now.
clear for the option.
I gotta start doing some piloting.
Where's the barrels?
What? Oh, sorry, right there. Got it.
Fulton Tower, mid-flight 9.
We had a bit of a more complicated approach there.
Yes, sir, we're currently 5.5 to your northeast and we're southwest bound at 2,000 feet, looking to transition through your delta.
Med-Flight 9 transition through the Bolton class Delta approved, altimeter 3003, have a flight line making left close traffic, correction.
Just a little patience.
A cold making left close traffic, runway 22, additional traffic inbound from the north for the right base, runway 22.
Got a
I
helicopter.
believe our on-course heading will keep us east of your traffic pattern, but we'll be looking for the Colt and understand the transition is approved.
Not a Colt. But there's another one out here. There is a Colt at Bolton, but we're not it.
Boy, those are some ugly.
Traffic.
All right, so 2.5. We got a report at 3. That's the guy he was just talking to.
Right.
And he is backer. He's going right over the mouth now. We'll see. He's a helicopter. They tend to stay low. Okay, just hit your altitude, so we're just going to keep it there for now. Now it's going to start slowing down. Let it get down into the white so we get the flaps down when we're ready. Don't let it go too much below 80 for now. We want to get there. We got 1.5 miles until he wants to hear from us again. We could do a really wide base right now because we're really going to aim at the warehouses and the lows anyway. But let's kind of square it off because we got traffic. I want him to know where we are, just because we're in the right spot. All right, we got 1 mile until we have to report. Now, see, we're less than a minute from a class Delta. That's what that's telling you.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's kick off the autopilot. Go ahead and make your base leg. It's this red button right here.
Oh, awesome.
It should already be trimmed for you. Another nice thing the auto trim does is as soon as you turn off the autopilot, you're still in trim. So let's make a big old right base here. The other way.
Ooh. I see the friggin' airport. I should have been looking anyway.
Yeah, now let's not get any lower than about 1720.
So,
Yeah, we will have to soon because you're doing a base leg entry. You're not going to get the downwind.
Fulton Tower, 284 Delta Golf, 3 miles out.
For 284 Delta Golf, runway 22, cleared for the option on depart to make left close traffic, report midfield.
4 Delta Golf, we will be a full stop.
4 Delta Golf, roger, runway 22, clear to land.
Go in, runway 22, 4 Delta Golf.
I never said anything. The other guy wanted touch and goes. He got us a little confused. He was clearing me for the option because somebody asked for touch and goes.
Tower for midpoint 9, we got the Colt that's just lifting off.
Oh, that's where the Colt is. Okay.
Midpoint 9, roger.
Taking off. That's a nice little
4
airplane.
Zulu traffic off to your left and behind. Your helicopter has you in sight.
4 Delta Golf.
Oh, altitude. He's very, very close.
Traffic, Colt 440.
Oh, that's us. Never mind. Okay, you got your airspeed, got your altitude, you're perfect for base. I'm going to go ahead and get the flaps down, so there's going to be a pronounced nose down. Give me some room here. Oh, okay. There we go. And now you can just leave the trim where it is and pull some throttle back, and it's going to be a perfect approach speed. You're going to have to start losing some altitude, because this thing just stays up forever. So doing good. Just keep it on. We'll do a nice long final. And we don't need to land on the numbers because we're going to be halfway down the runway before we exit. Sometimes I'll land on the numbers for practice. Usually I do the third set of bars, and that gets us slowed up right before Alpha 3. So especially if there's somebody waiting, I'll definitely land more efficiently. I see. You can pull some more power off.
Altitude.
Yeah, yep, that's good. Probably a little bit more. At this point, you could almost go to idle, but not quite. There you go.
4 Zulu has traffic in sight.
He's about to go.
4 Zulu, roger.
All the way to idle. And you may have to feed it in. Now, when it gets... Oh, slow us down. Slow us... Go. You want to be about 65 or so. So you may end up with a burst of throttle just as we get over the outside lights, but I think you're good. Yeah, give it a little more. You're going to need a little bit more. That's good. A little more. That's going to do it. You're at 70. That's good. As you get over the numbers, pull it all the way to idle, or it'll just float, float, float. Actually, pull it now. There you go. Looking good. There it is. Hold the nose up. There you go. Now he's going to give us right Alpha 3 monitor ground, or Alpha to Charlie to the ramp monitor ground point 8. Keep speed up a little bit because you got a guy. Well, he's only midfield. Never mind. He's only midfield.
Full Tower, Colt 484 Zulu, midfield for full stop. Colt 4844 Zulu, runway 22, clear to land. Clear to land, runway 22, 440. November 4 Delta Golf, turn right taxiway Alpha 3, taxi Alpha to Charlie, monitor ground point 8.
Right Alpha 3, Alpha to Charlie to park, monitor ground point 8, 4 Delta Golf.
There we go. What'd you think of that?
Well, I got it on the ground.
You have not forgotten how to land. That was very nicely done. All right, I'm going to shut down the old camera here. Not much to see on the way in. Anything that happens is only going to be bad.
Yeah, right. Run off.